Hey everyone, Mr. Mom Collectibles. I am back with another video, continuing my series of 2023 in review. And today we're going to be talking about something I've been so eagerly waiting to make a video on, and this is the top tap dances of 2023. I'm picking 3 figures that have been released that have caused, which I think, a lot of people to tap dance their way out of pre-ordering or getting the figure. Obviously the phrase has been coined by Denobi too. Credit to him for starting the phrase. And although there's many other YouTubers who've made fun of it, who criticized it, but they couldn't help but stray away from saying it or using it numerous times, and even in Facebook groups. So what does it mean? People feel like, it's a judgmental thing, being negative. The fact of the matter is, canceling stuff happens all the time. You pre-order a figure and your collection changes, or maybe you just don't have the finances and things are more priority a year later when these figures are coming out. That's no problem. But what we're noticing is there's a trend of a few figures, specifically, just a couple we're going to touch on, where the figure comes out. There's nothing wrong with the figure, but yet people found a way to shit on the figure to kind of excuse themselves from not following through on the invoice. No reason that you can't cancel a figure, but you can still respect that a figure is good. It just means, hey, I can't afford it. But to say that, hey, this figure sucks because of X, Y, and Z, that's the reason why I'm not getting it. That's kind of where the whole tap dance thing comes in. But before we move forward, let me play a little clip from the man himself that gives you his explanation of where the phrase came from.
Look, tap dancing. When I say that someone is tap dancing, I'm not attacking their financial situation. I'm just to make this clear, when I say that someone is tap dancing, I'm saying that their story is changing from their initial commitments when the figure was first announced, and to the point where pre-orders were placed, and now they're canceling their pre-orders because a letter was misspelled or the head sculpt is now different. That, in my book, is you're tap dancing your way out of it. Well, you know what? The head sculpt changed. The head sculpt changed. So, I'm not going to buy it now because it looks different. And then what happened?
So the first figure I'm choosing here is Peacemaker. I do own this figure. This is actually, if you check out my previous video, this may have been in one of my top 5 favorite purchases of 2023. So we have Peacemaker here. He went through a couple changes though. So these photos came out and February 24th of 2022, and obviously this is the figure here, has the jointed elbows, and all. He also came with only one facial expression, so it was the mouth open with the tongue, normal scrutiny that a figure would come under. That's not what we're getting to. Between this period and the time of release, Hot Toys did another update and released the figure. It was released on September 13th, and they made the changes. They changed they went to seamless, which a lot of people wanted. That actually upped, I feel like, the pre-orders, because a lot of people held off, because I believe it went waitlist actually pretty fast after the first round. They announced the changes. And then from here, you also had a neutral expression to go along with the open, which you can do the magnetic tongue if you want. If you look at in the comments, I'll just scroll through, but it was his holster and his gun was non-removable, or at least we thought it was. And so that was one of the big things where people kind of caused, like, going into the comments here. It was on the YouTube channel, the Sideshow First Look video, and everything like that. And so we were starting to go through the photos, and I was kind of going through, and people were making the comments about, like, where's the gun? Why can't the gun come out? Everything like that. Amazing, hope the gun is removable. And then at the time, people were saying, no, it's not. And then people were even saying, there was people even saying that we were going to cancel the figure, in terms of, because I hope they watch the Sideshow First Look and they said that it's fixed. I hope it's removable. So there was a lot of uncertainty about that. And so that was one thing that I really thought people kind of freaked out about, was the fact that, they were jumping to conclusions. And I was watching, even reading comments, people, they were prepared to cancel their order. Well, just a few hours later, videos started surfacing from Hong Kong, various Instagram pages from collectors who got the figures day one. And there was an easy workaround fix where if you use a heat gun and you heat up the holster, there's a small pin that's inside plastic, and you can actually pop that free and the gun comes completely out. So within a matter of hours, we went from, pitchforks to a solution within a matter of hours, literally hours, not days, not weeks, hours from collectors in Hong Kong that posted their videos, and they were showing how you can just pop the gun right out with a heat gun and no issues. And I did the same thing with my figure, and he's posed up with the gun, no issues. So this is one of the figures that if you watched Denovi's video in the beginning that I played, he actually used this as an example where people were, kind of freaking out over the fact of the gun and using that as kind of a reason for potentially canceling their figure. And so this is one that I deem as my first tap dance of 2023. All right, guys. So the next tap dance for me is going to be the Hot Toys X-Men Days of Futures Past Wolverine figure. What I'm talking about is what caused, once again, people to kind of, I think, overreact to this figure was the deluxe edition display base and the fact that it had Wolverine's name misspelt on it, honestly. And so as you see here in the photos, it's cropped out of a lot of the photos because they don't show it because or they either black it out, or you see at the bottom there, they kind of cut it. But that was obviously an error that was caught at one point. You can see right here in the photos, they kind of use certain angles and, it's a little bit of photoshopping there. But it was caught early on in videos and photos from people first picking up. They're like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, the name is spelt wrong, and it had some letters flipped around in it. And that caused, there you go. Even they updated the photos and kind of blurred out the name. And to me, that caused another shitstorm, to be honest with you, because, there's so much going on with this base and everything like that. I personally, and it's preference. Once again, this is preference. Other people, and trust me, if you jump over to Sideshow Collectibles page, I mean, their first look, I mean, the comments were riddled of people saying that, about the base plate, in terms of the misspellings, all that stuff. I mean, you can go through the comments here from the first look video, and people are making fun of it. Like, oh, I'm going to cancel my order because of the inaccuracy. And like I said, even in the video, they cut a lot of scenes they edited the video around so that way you didn't see it. But once again, it's an overreaction, in my opinion. And like I said, you can leave a comment below and you could fight me on it, or, I think it was an overreaction because, number one, if you watch MRC's, he was one of the first ones to put out a full-length video of this. He was doing the review, and he just said there's so many intricacies going on with the detailing work and all this stuff, and when you have the figure on there, it's an afterthought that you're not even looking at the name. That was MRC's, which I think has a very very good opinion about it. And like he said he could respect people that are paying the money, that are upset about it, but it didn't seem like it was anything worthy of like canceling an order over. But funny enough, once again, these are being shipped out. And if you look back on the video here from Sideshow, I mean, they even commented, we've contacted Hot Toys in regards to the nameplate being misspelled, and they're aware of the issue. We are working on a solution to resolve this. There is updated nameplates, that I've seen photos of people that were picking these up from Secret Base, that they already had new nameplates on there. And what I suspect is going on is, this figure still hasn't been shipping from Sideshow. So I do suspect that the batches that will be coming from Sideshow will have some kind of plate or something like that will go over the existing one that will replace it with the correct spelling. Is it a mistake? Of course. It's an oversight that it even baffles me, because the figure in Secret Base still had it misspelled. So it kind of baffles me that it went through that whole line and no one caught it until, the first batch release. Nevertheless, there seems to be a fix for this, something that has been solved. Yes, it might, hinder a delay in the figure from people who got this. I do have this on pre-order myself, so we might have to wait a little bit longer, but nevertheless, I'm not saying that Hot Toys hits a home run every time, but there are times when they do, you speak up, they're going to fix something, and there seems to be a fix to this. That's something that isn't worthy enough for me to cancel a figure. And there was people, like I said, in the comments, you can read there, they were saying they were going to cancel the figure because they had enough of spending this kind of money. I get it, I understand, but at the end of the day, perfection doesn't exist. And things are going to happen. Now, whether a company steps up to fix it or not, that is going to show what the integrity of the company is. And in this case, Hot Toys did so. And, they were notified by Sideshow, and they are looking at a solution. So long story short, this is my next tap dance that I'm going to put in for 2023. So my next and my last of the three tap dances for 2023 RoboCop from RoboCop Part 3. Now, the photos that you're looking at are from sideshow.com, and these are the original photos when the figure first came out. And obviously, I think a lot of people can agree RoboCop 3 isn't exactly everyone's favorite. Ironically, it was my first movie that I saw of RoboCop, and I went backwards and saw the first one. So yeah, it does hold a little bit of nostalgia for me because it's the first one, but it's so sick because we saw this, a couple things kind of triggered. It's got the jetpack, it's got the the multi-use machine gun, but not only that though, it was giving us hope that Hot Toys was diving back into older IPs, pop culture IPs, 80s IPs. And at the time when this came out, we're like, holy crap, this was awesome. I know people were always talking about the color of the suit, where it looked too much blue, purple, and then it got into a debate. And I gotta be honest with you, the suit obviously changed from movie to movie. And even there's people that bought the original diecast and even paid to have that repainted. So ultimately, Hot Toys, I don't think ever achieved the perfect mix of paint to get the figure accurate. And then you jump over to the final release photos. And these are the release photos here. And you're seeing, I think, a more toned down version. And you're seeing purple highlights throughout there, but you're not seeing an overwhelming, like a dark, the blue that you see here. So it evidently looks like Hot Toys did something. Now, granted, these are final photos. There could be photoshopping, things like that, et cetera, et cetera. But the one thing that is true is that the figure and the character in the movie always did have purple highlights in various areas of the figure, on the biceps, the back of the head, some areas on the thighs. Even the original RoboCop still had the purple highlights. So the purple always was there. It just depends on the lighting and what angle you're looking at them from. And I have some more things to back that up. And you can see here, I actually did a review on this figure where I did a side-by-side comparison from the original to the new one. And I'm here, this is basically, I can link this review if you're interested in seeing it, but I even put up like photos from the original going through RoboCop 1, 2, and 3 to kind of give you an idea of what it looked like. And you see there, even in the photos I'm posting, there's purple in the back of his head from RoboCop 1, and then RoboCop 2, you can see it's definitely more of a bluish with the purple, still reflective there. And in the video that I did outside, I did a daylight test. And on the left side is the RoboCop 3, and on the right side is the RoboCop 2. And you can definitely see the paint is a little bit different, more of a metallic on the first one. And on the left, there definitely looks to be a little bit darker, but not as blue as what the original was. So it was just an example of something that I wanted to show. I'm not going to dive too much into that. If you want to watch the review, it's up. But the amount of, once again, shit talking that came about where people are like, oh my God, this is, even YouTubers were saying like, oh my God, this is awful. The figure looks bad. This isn't what was advertised from the original being blue. If you look at the Sideshow first look, which they always use white, it looks very blown out. It doesn't really look, like that was. Whatever it may be. And then going, oh, RoboCop 3 sucks anyway. It just sounded like excuse after excuse after excuse. But at the end of the day, I mean, it just really, not that it sucked the life out of the release, but like my energy for this was always up there because it was RoboCop. I loved it. It was one of my IPs growing up as a kid that I always watched. And I think it was distinguishing enough from the original because you have the jetpack, you have the gun, and you had the effect of the rocket shooting out. And for those that never even had a RoboCop to begin with, I know people are posing it like this. They're using it as their one and only RoboCop. When these things come out, okay? And what do I mean by that? Is that there was a time when this figure was announced. You look at the figures that were announced around the same time as him, RoboCop, Doc Ock, Peacemaker. Invoices started getting stacked up on top of each other. So then you have to decide, can you afford all those invoices? Something's got to go. Got to cut the fat somewhere. And there's nothing wrong with that because this was a $400+ figure. But once again, in my opinion, there was nothing wrong with the figure. Oh, well, the color, it doesn't look like the original prototype, so I'm going to cancel the order. I would argue and say that this photo that you see here is probably the more inaccurate version, and Hot Toys did their best to course correct and get it fixed. But yet there was a lot of a lot of people being vocal out there about it, and I was just perplexed about it. And like I said, it was a $400+ ticket, and $375. So over that was $400. And I know for a fact that this came in kind of layered on top of other invoices. So something had to get cut. I'm sure a lot of people canceled this because they were probably like, hey, a year ago I would have wanted it, but a year later I can't get it because there's things that are more important, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the level of talking and and criticism that I felt like was really unnecessary, that's what kind of got me bothered a lot by it, which is hence why when I made my review, I really wanted to make sure I did that daylight natural light comparison to kind of show people like it's not as bad as what people were making it out to be. And I know there were people that were very concerned, like, I don't know if I should cancel this, I'm not really sure. And you feed into all that YouTube hype, and you listen to other people out there that are kind of marching by their own beat of the drum, and people are going to follow that sometimes. So that's what kind of got me concerned about it. But ultimately, this is a figure that ended up making it into my top 5 purchases of the year. And I was watching some other videos, and this is in people's top 5, top 10. So ultimately, I hope that people made the right decisions on this specific figure and kept it. And so that's something that I'm really excited about. But like I said, this rounds out my top 3 tap dances of 2023. But let me know what you guys think of in the comments below. Make sure to drop a like on this video. Please consider subscribing to the channel if this is in fact your first time. And like I said, let me know in the comments below what you think. I'm sure we've all seen it out there. It's been thrown around, and it's okay. You can shoot me up in the comments if you want about it. But I had to make a video about this because I felt like these 3 figures really got a lot of flack for very minimal reasons. Some of them were fixed. I think all 3 of them were actually fixed one way or another. And I think they just, culminated a lot of unnecessary negative blowback. But until then, this is Mr. Mom Collectibles, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.
Yeah. So at least you've seen the tap dancing that's been going on, though. Like, oh, I don't like. So at least you are aware of it, because you.
Oh yeah.
You see the tap dancing. My God, there's been some serious tap dancing going on out there.
Yeah.
I will say I had fun making that meme.
That was good. That was a nice little. Your production value since last time I was on, is top notch.